Hello, somebody's joined. Just out testing again. This time up on the city walls. They're breaking the rain. Do say hello. Hello. Some more people. Let me know who's on. Always nice of a little natter while I'm out to kind of signal stroke concept testing. So hello Susan, thank you for your support as ever. It came through was it yesterday? I do appreciate that. Most welcome. So up on the walls, do come through. You obviously find I'm pointing that way, you're not on camera. Hi Nicky Joy. Hello Lizzie. So again, sort of second test really of this 1440. So I tried it, was it last week, wasn't it? Hobmore. So trying it in a sort of slightly different environment this time. So it's not an official tour, more it's you guys keeping me company and giving some kind of feedback really on what you can see. So so I know that Leslie, you said it was a real nice kind of picture quality on Saturday, whatever we were doing on Saturday. We did the watches what we? So I'd switched it up to 30 frames per second to give you a smoother, more cinematic. This time I've got the satellite rig as well. So again, I'm pushing it kind of hard to see what it'll do. But if you have a little look at your cog, hopefully it should be saying that you can watch this in 1440. It may be at the minute it's on auto, it might be on 720 or whatever, but it's a little cog somewhere in YouTube, on your screen somewhere, in the settings. If you click on that and see if you can get it to display at 1440. The idea, of course, is, bringing you up here, is that it gives me way more definition for zoom. So for instance, if we have a look over here and you can see this is just the real picture as you kind of see it, as you might say, insofar as that, you know, we can see kind of rooftops into the distance. Yep, 1440, fantastic, thank you. So let's now give a zoom. Okay, I'll just let the camera settle each time. And let's see if we can bring up, you see? So you can't do that on 1080 and 720, you just can't. Simply because there isn't enough information being captured and encoded. So consequently, when it gets to this level of zoom, you could really do with a what do you got, a tripod. So this would be, if I take you up to Malham Cove, it's this incredible view, you know, across the Yorkshire Dales, I'll bring a tripod with me so that when we get to this stage, we'll just stop for 10 minutes, yeah, and just to pan it on the tripod, you know, and really taking these views. But I think it'll probably go one step further. Yeah, there we go. Now it's starting to get noisy now and grainy, but when we come back out again, you'll see what a long way away that is. That's our regular view. It's good, isn't it? It's really cool. And the only way I can do this is using this kind of satellite pack, because it's just giving me a lot more juice to work with. So it's kind of two things going on here, really. One is I'm getting much stronger internet signals, so consequently, as a result of that, I can stream at a higher output rate, which is the 1440. And so as a result of that, we can then, so again, let's do this. This must be, oh, I think half a mile, maybe half a mile to 3/4 of a mile from where we are now. So we're going to look for the lantern tower. You've seen it loads of times at the bottom of the shambles, remember? Yep. You'll know this as soon as you see it, lights up every evening. So let's go in again. Just do it bit by bit. Let the encoder catch up, otherwise you go too fast and it just goes a bit seasicky. We don't want that. So yeah, the tower's starting to come into view, look. We always used to watch Patrick Toomey with these bears and all the wildlife. Imagine this sort of setup for there. You know, I think it's really got some, when you're in more open areas. So I don't know how this is going to perform in the city centre, because the tall buildings, they may block out the signal, because I need a clear sight line to the sky because it's satellite driven. But again, I can see a wobble a little bit because I should really be on a tripod. But you can see how close I can get that in. You know, it is. Yeah, I don't want people to think, oh, it's just a techie, it's just sort of showing off. It's really about being able to bring you different ways of seeing and kind of different ways of appreciating. So as I say, it may be that in the city centre of York, this setup isn't great, the shambles, just because the satellite just won't see enough of the sky. So, you know, it's not a case of saying it's the answer to every tour all the time. but rather it broadens the range of experiences that I can bring to you. And what camera phone are you using? Well, thank you, Nicky, for asking that. It's a Google Pixel 8 Pro. So not the newest, so you probably be able to get a decent price. I think Google 10 is the latest phone now. But still working beautifully after 2 years. To leave Apple, and if anybody's ever left Apple, but it is not an easy thing to do. Apple makes your life bloody difficult. It doesn't really kind of like you having the temerity to leave the Apple garden. But I did it because the reviews basically said that this was a phenomenal video camera that happened to have a phone attached to it as well. And I've certainly found that in the 2 years that I've been live streaming with it. Like I say, it's a pain in the bum. So I've basically kept my old Apple phone because there's just certain things that you're better off not doing. It's like a drug. As I say, they kind of want to hold all your information. They want to kind of control all your apps and so forth. So basically, when you come off Apple, it's like coming off a drug. You know, it just doesn't like, it won't share your information with other platforms. It's what they call a closed network. So consequently, you know, it's not nothing coming off. Yeah, an advanced options person. Yeah. It doesn't. I mean, that's exactly it, Nicky. And I mean, this isn't against Apple because Apple designed beautiful things, but there's a bit of cult of personality goes on with it. Obviously, Steve Jobs was central to this. Insofar as it's like, you just do your thinking, just kind of believe, buy into the brand and let us worry about it. Whereas, as you say, if you like to kind of take the back off things and have a look at them and find out how they work, then Windows is a much better system. Didn't used to be a terrible system, but then they went open source. So they basically shared the code with developers, and all the developers just basically told them where it was going wrong, and now it's a great solid system. And you know, the only difference between Apple and Windows is A, choice, and B, snobbery. So that, for instance, everybody, you know, in my world of what do you call the creatives, says, you know, you need to be working on Apple. Absolutely tosh. All my work is done through Windows, and it's simply a preference. There is no obvious advantage whatsoever, other than the fact that obviously the people who've been doing on Apple have been doing their way for a long time, so they would find it very difficult to switch. But in terms of looking at the content side by side, it makes no odds which you use. It's just kind of people in the industry, the creative industry, and video and film production, photography, just, oh, Apple. You know, and it's as I say, it's just branding. You know, it just shows how successful the Apple brand has been in order to kind of get that sense of it's not just a brand, it's kind of way of life, it's a sort of status, it's a kind of way of saying, look, I'm professional because I've got these tools. You know, if people love Apple, then fantastic. But they are husband creatives, both use PCs. There you go, video editor. I mean, really, at the end of the day, you know, if you're going to do video editing, particularly I do 360 stuff, it's how much juice have you got, you know, in terms of your visual memory. So what graphics card have you got? And again, I've changed my graphics card in my PC. Try doing that in a Mac. You know, whatever you buy with, you know, you're stuck with just gets older and older and older. And I mean that. I looked at somebody showing me one the other day, and it was beautiful. It was faster than my PC set, but it's £4,000. You know, you're talking stupid amounts of money. Was it a Mac Pro 4 or so? I can't remember what it's called, but you know, ridiculous. Well, I'm really glad. So there you go. Well, that's it. So you can live in both worlds. So again, so here we've talked about this church many times. This is the church that's practically the only survivor from the Norman conquest. You know, the harrowing of York when York was destroyed, 1067, 1068 time. Look at that now. We can get the individual stones. How nice is that? Hi, Nathalie. So what sort of stuff does he edit then, Nicky Joe? As a pro or as a enthusiast, as you might say? So yeah, we're just out testing, Nathalie. There's no agenda on this one, as you might say. Just kind of showing off. Oh, here we are, to the Minster over here. So again, we're just going to use the zoom. So again, we're relying on this, the power of the 1440 gives us to be able to go in, but with much stronger definition than we could otherwise get. And bear in mind as well, it's quite hazy, quite cloudy today, so we haven't got good visibility. It's been a wet day today, so it's not a good photography day. So, you know, we're doing this against hazy skies. So it's not simply that you're getting noise within the zoom. Again, that's about as far as I can go without getting too much noise into it. But again, as I say, when I'm looking at it, there's like a haze I'm looking through. So part of what you're seeing, you know, is just this kind of white air, as you might say, that you get with very damp. You know, it's been very rainy, kind of thundery storms today. But, you know, it just goes to show. So let's go back off the zoom. Yeah, and that's our kind of starting image. So I don't know what you'd call that as equivalent, but I would think, Nikki, you're probably about 400 zoom, somewhere in that region. If you're using a DSLR full frame camera, mine would be, I think, about 400 I'd need to use, which of course would be a ridiculously long lens. And you couldn't stream with it, it'd be knocking your arm off. So it's remarkable what a mobile phone can do. That's all right, Sandy. It's not a scheduled tour. It's more just testing, working with this satellite rig and working in 1440 high definition, to just kind of show, you know, put it through its paces, see what's possible, see what we can do. So a lovely tower over here, it's Walter Breedy, wonderful architecture of York, Edwardian era, beautifully proportioned buildings. You just see the top here of Scarcroft School, primary school, but why not finish it with a bit of pizzazz? So there we go, look, you can see the clock tower and you can see the time. How's that? You can't have so much more than that, can you? Thank you, Sandy. I mean, I think it's the pursuit, it's born out of frustration. I'll tell you what it is. It's when you go, oh, I can't do this, I can't bring you that, and I want to do that. You know, and as I said on the last time I was doing this, you know, it all came to a head for me. I was in Knaresborough, you know, I'd got a new tour, a new route. I went up there, ready to go, bam, there was zero. 2 masts were down that day. So there was zero mobile data. And it's just so frustrating, you're just so powerless in that situation that I thought there's got to be another way. And I thought, well, I'm going to examine and look at what I can do with satellite communication and see to what degree this could provide an alternative. As I say, it's certainly not going to be for everywhere, because I think, you know, if you're in, I'm going to have a try down the Chambles, but I suspect you're not going to get the clear sight lines to the sky. So that will be kind of problematic. So it's not going to be for everybody for all the tours. But where, such as here, obviously you can see, you know, we've got the big wide open skies. So consequently, for walks in the dales, on the moors, the coastal paths and so forth, you know, sunsets, going to do some sunsets by the coast. But obviously I wasn't wanting to go too far, drive out and then find out it didn't kind of work, which is why I'd be doing the testing kind of nearby. But today, as I say, the first time was on Hob Moor, where obviously there's nothing to interfere with the signal whatsoever. So I thought today, let's ramp it up again. And I've also gone from 24 frames per second to 30. So 30 frames per second, that means, again, just for those that aren't, you know, kind of familiar with editing, is 24 or 23.96, I think is actually cinema. But we kind of like that natural flicker, whereas video, basically we tend like a smoother kind of pan. And so by having those extra 6 frames per second, basically it's smoothing out your existence. So you should get a super smooth, but of course what it is doing is it's demanding more data. If you think about another six photographs every second it's putting in. So you think about that across a minute, right? That's 360 photographs extra a minute. So again, you need that data processing power to do that. So you need the juice from the satellite in the first place to get it done, and within the phone to be able to kind of cope with it, and the encoder. But if you make it work, which it seems like so far we're managing to do, basically, I don't think there's anybody else doing this right now. Talking about doing live 1440 outdoor stuff. You know, all the 1440 that I've seen is all kind of indoor sort of desktop stuff. And it's not kind of really used, because if you're indoor you can use 4K. So it's kind of left it kind of wide open, I think, 1440 to be, and obviously if you use a lot of pre-recorded videos, now edited stuff, you know, you're doing 4K if you're using kind of video stuff. So it just seems that it's just sat there waiting to be exploited. And right now, to my knowledge, I'm the only one that's doing it. Although I'm sort of doing it officially, I haven't had an official tour. Don't just practicing the gimbal there. Yeah, but you don't. But at the end of the day, the beautiful thing about what we're talking about, Sandy, is it doesn't matter a jot whether you get what I'm talking about or not, insofar as you can see the difference. This is why I keep going to Zoom and whatever to demo the difference, because we all know what tools, because most of us have been around, since Hager. We've been around, for 5 years now of experiencing this and seeing gradually the experience, whether it be through the video quality or the most tools now don't really drop too many frames, do they? You tend to not have too much, by the way, of buffering on most tools you go on now. Most of the guides now have been at it long enough, have got decent sound, so that's kind of improved markedly. As phones have got better, we've got more zoom, we've got more kind of pictures, we've been able to add in, haven't we, kind of photographs and people dropping videos and so forth. This is the next, to me, iteration of that, of a technology that is constantly improving and sort of constantly developing to, let's bring in the spire there of St Mary's. It's a 13th century church here. Quite unusual, not many spires in York, we've got lots of towers. But this is the, oh, there we are. It's that little flicker there, that's the encoder going, leave me alone. I've worked too hard, I'm tired now. So the encoder, by the way, if you're interested, that's the thing that's taking what I'm filming and turning it into a signal that can broadcast to you on YouTube. It usually takes about 10 to 12 second delay, but it's remarkable actually how quick it is. That you can be literally sat on the other side of the world and you're seeing something 10, 12 seconds after it's gone live from my phone. But again, that's the power. But we've also got Prism in there as well. So, and I know some guys don't use Prism. Personally, it's totally their choice. It's their gig. I think it's very good because it's very good at stabilizing the signal. So Prism plus YouTube plus the new rig plus this phone, hopefully, is the way to go. And it doesn't worry me that there's a little Prism logo in the bottom corner. To me, if I see that, I know actually it's going to be usually a good stable show because it tends to provide a good experience. Hello, Sarah. Thank you for your support. It is most appreciated. Let's go another way now. Rather than looking at buildings, let's look at nature a little bit. I'm just going to try and do this without losing the gimbal. Let's just try and go in and see what kind of definition. So we're down on the, obviously on the walls now, and just starting to get a little bit of noise. So noise is a term that they use when you start to get a distortion. Professional video photographers and video people talk about noise. And what they talk about, it's not volume, it's when when the image starts to break down a little bit into component elements because there's not enough information for it to hold. So you start to get a tiny bit of noise there, do it there, and it's sort of nice and crisp. So as I say, I want to get the message out there. So rights groups and whatever, brilliant. Literary tours, wouldn't that be fun? So there we go, done 30 minutes of test. I think it's gone pretty swimmingly. So thank you everybody for joining me. It's not a proper tour, so don't worry, I don't expect anything other than your regular support that you provide for me. But obviously, part of this is I'm now investing in a second subscription as well. So consequently, I'm making an investment, and hopefully it will all pay off. But time will tell. But I think I'm going to get something scheduled in. I think this is ready now to, unless anybody tells me otherwise, I think we're ready to take this out now into the Yorkshire Dales or somewhere and put it through its paces in a real scheduled tour. So there we go. Thank you, everybody, and I'll see you all very, very soon. Bye-bye.